What if even the toughest skeptic can change, can discover there's a path to deeper healing that's different than they expected? What if that toughest skeptic is you or someone that you love? What if anyone can change? And what if the entry point into that transformation, that change, is love?
This book will help to understand what wisdom means and how we as humans can enter into the field of wisdom in a natural way. And I think it will change so many lives.
As you read, each chapter unlocks more and more barriers from your mind and opens up your heart more and more to what's possible in your life.
This is an example of just being limitless.
In this video, as you hear my little brother who graduated from Harvard Law School, he worked in an investment bank in New York. The smallest deals he worked on there were hundreds of millions. You know, I thought I was a skeptic, but he probably was even more of a skeptic than me. Very brilliant, analytical mind, a genius, I would call him. And to have him have this experience of walking through the path of following some of these ancient secrets, only a few of them, and to see what kind of results come for him, I just want to say thank you, Dr. Naram, and thank you, this entire lineage of masters that can help reach even the mind of the toughest skeptic. I'm excited for you to hear this story, what his words are, and the way that he describes his story can change your life forever. You know, at one point, we were recording his story properly the other day, and I had him, and I just said, just hold the book up and just say your honest feelings about it. He held the book up, he's like,
I have not read this book. And I hate how Clint makes people hold this book up all the time. I really hate it. I don't think it's good marketing. I think it's stupid. But I do know that he believes it. And I do know that I have actually benefited from some of the things that are in this book, despite being unwilling to read anything that my family has ever written. I'm John Rogers, the best dressed Rogers brother, as well as the youngest, and our mom's favorite. But not really, that's Clint. What inspired me to do the mung bean challenge was there were 4 things that happened kind of within a 48-hour period. The first was I was talking to my wife. I knew I needed to start a new diet. I wasn't really happy with what I was putting into my body. I wasn't feeling like the best version of myself physically, and so I knew I wanted to change that. In the past, I had done intermittent fasting and a few other things, and it worked for a little while, but it wasn't really consistent or sustainable. I always went back to kind of binge eating, saying, oh yeah, I can binge eat this week because next week I'll start eating healthy. Right around then, it was our mom came over to our house. She walked up and down the stairs and told me how happy she was that she could walk up and down the stairs at our house without any pain because she had just done a 3-day mung bean soup cleanse. Now, this is really weird because in most things I am insanely skeptical, but the one thing I like about life is I would be the kind of person that would wear the same t-shirt every day if I could. I like not making choices. I really love it. And so when I heard him saying, all you have to do is eat mung bean soup, that was like, okay, that actually matches with my lifestyle. Not eating anything else, just eating mung bean soup. But I was still skeptical because I knew Clint growing up, and it wasn't pleasant. I was on Facebook that night. I saw this post from someone I didn't know, and she was talking about just having been through her first 10 days of the mung bean soup challenge and everything that she had gone through, how her pain levels had decreased and a few other things. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna do this. So that night I texted Clint, I'm like, I think I'm gonna do the mung bean soup challenge. And I've never gotten a more excited text back in my entire life. So my mom actually drove out the next morning and made my first batch of mung bean soup with me, and I started the challenge that next day. My process was I was on the mung bean soup cleanse entirely for 10 days, and largely I did that because my other brother Gerald could only do it for 7 days, so I knew I had to beat him. That was very important to me. When I wanted to give up on day 3 and 4, I thought Gerald made it for 7 days, I can beat that. And so I just kept going. I was having the craziest dreams. I would wake up and tell my wife the dreams that I was having, and she's like, those are the weirdest, most vivid, random dreams I have ever heard in my entire life. I can't even explain how crazy they were. Like, it was like a dream where it's like me, Abraham Lincoln, and a clown having dinner, and the conversation was about like economics in India. Like, that is a real dream that I was having. And so during those 10 days, the motivation of knowing eventually I was gonna get over it, knowing that my brother had done it for 7 days and that I wanted to keep going, I made it straight for 10 days. The next 7 days were Thanksgiving and week, and I had promised my wife I wouldn't let a mung bean soup cleanse ruin our Thanksgiving week. So I still ate mung bean soup once for one of the meals a day and had one normal meal. This was crazy. So we were going on vacation and we were going down to Las Vegas, and I made us make 2 pots of mung bean soup and put it in a Tupperware to bring with us, just so that I could eat it for at least one meal a day, even when we were on vacation and down in Las Vegas and stuff. After that, I went back on the full cleanse for 10 more days to make it to, or 12 more days to make it for the full 30 days. During that time, I lost I think it was 22 pounds. My dad had really bad arthritis. I was really afraid that my fingers at night were starting to ache, and then I've always had chronically bad knees and ankles, and I was playing soccer, and after I played soccer, they would always hurt. And I'm like, if that could not be a thing, that would be great as well. And I had wanted to get back into the shape where I felt really comfortable with my body. And if there was even a possibility of my aches and pains going away that weren't bad, I'm like, yeah, I might as well try it. And all of those went away. So I wasn't feeling the aches and pains anymore. I lost the weight. I had simplicity in my eating.
You know, he's lost 22 pounds, no more pain in his knees, his ankles, just so much, not getting pain when he's playing soccer, no more injuries. You know, so what if your body can be so good?
Clint,
yeah.
And I also want to add, John is so much sexier now.
Yeah, that's really
now
important.
that he started eating the sexy mung bean soup, he just looks better and better.
If that was even possible. Like, we don't, scientifically, we don't know if it was possible to become more sexy than I was, but if it were, it happened.
Yeah, that's an important thing. There should be a disclaimer on the book, like, if you don't want to become more sexy, then please don't read this book, you know?
And the extra benefit that I didn't expect was I was still playing in the soccer league. I play in a men's over 30 soccer league, which honestly is the most aggressive league in the history of humankind. They think that some sort of scout is watching them and they may be pulled up into the Premier League, but they're all super overweight and really out of shape, and you just get beat up, and it is nuts. But I still love it. And last year, it took a massive toll on my body. I had pulled both of my hamstrings at one point during this season, actually tore the muscle in one of my hamstrings, and I had pulled my groin muscle during the season. And seriously, people are like, why do you keep going to play soccer? You literally cannot walk the next day. And I normally just barely recovered before the next game, and then I was walking like I was 1,000 years old the next week. I was on the mung bean soup cleanse, and I get it. Even at that time, I thought I don't know if I'm going to be able to play a whole game on mung bean soup. Like, how do you? I ate 6 bowls of soup today. I'm not sure that's going to give me enough energy to play a game. But I actually did have energy. I was 3 days on the mung bean soup cleanse when I was playing in my first game on the mung bean soup cleanse, and I always ran around the field twice to get warmed up before I would stretch. And it was the first time where I said to myself, I feel lighter. And I hadn't lost that much weight, but I just felt lighter. I don't know if it was that game or the next one where I actually played all 90 minutes. I wasn't even subbed out the entire time. And then the next day after the game and all the games following that I was on the mung bean soup cleanse, I wasn't even sore the next day. What I notice is that I don't notice them. In a time when I would otherwise feel like my knees and ankles should be hurting, after the activity, I think, I didn't feel any pain during that. And normally the pain, I would ignore it and it wouldn't be a big thing, but it would be there. So in my left knee, when I got it checked, I had a torn ACL and a torn MCL in my knee, and normally it would catch and I would have problems, and I haven't had that, and I don't know. I haven't changed my lifestyle other than what I've been eating, so I can't think of anything else that I would attribute it to. I, despite what I would have believed before, have actually now recommended the mung bean soup cleanse to people, which is weird, and people are weirded out by it, but I still do it anyway. I was on the mung bean soup cleanse at really awkward times, and there were certain times during that where I was having business lunches and I would bring my own mung bean soup to the business lunch, or I would turn down a business lunch because I was on mung bean soup. They're like, what is a mung bean and why would you do that? Even today when I was doing some work, I was talking to someone about it. I'm like, honestly, it sounds like you should do the mung bean soup cleanse. And they're like, what is that and why would I do that? And I'm like, I know it sounds crazy, and it is crazy, but it just sounds like some of the things that you're experiencing, because they were talking about the sugar addiction that they were going through and the fact that when they started eating candy, they couldn't stop, and a few other things. You know, eating mung bean soup consistently for 2 months, I feel like when I'm hungry for a specific thing for the first time in my life, I can trust my body that that's actually what my body needs. And I think for a lot of people, that's what's missing in their diet, is the ability to trust that when their body says, I need that it's not just a craving, it's not just an emotional thing, it's not an addiction, it's actually what their body needs. Even when I need things that I think are strange or random, I eat them and afterwards I feel satisfied, and it is just so nice knowing that I can trust my body, and that also in return my body can trust the decisions that I'm making. Honestly, I feel like we have a better relationship, which is not something I would have expected from the great mung bean, the father of all meat beans. I'm really appreciative to Mandy, who I now know. I didn't know Mandy when I read the post. And I just am grateful because it was because of her authenticity in that post that I could trust that her experience would mirror my own and I could be okay. And so between that and my mom, if my results were anywhere near what their results were, it would be at least worth trying. Especially my mom. I didn't know Mandy before, but for my mom, that's pretty far outside of her comfort zone as well. I've seen my mom continue to grow and develop, and seeing her take more and more steps towards becoming the best version of herself. I was actually in a therapy session a couple of months ago, and they asked, what gives you hope that you can change? And I said, well, you know, for the longest time, I didn't think that people could change, but I just keep seeing my mom get better and better all the time, and letting go of some of those things that were such a struggle for me when I was a little kid. And so I said, you know what, if my mom can do it, I can do it. And so she was, in a lot of ways, the reason why I committed to making a lot of changes in my life, including, you know, what ended up being taking the mung bean soup challenge.
You're such an instrument of contagious healing on the planet, and I'm so grateful. What does it feel like hearing that?
I'm speechless. I love you, John. Thank you.
Love you too, Mom.
Gerald, anything you want to share what you've seen in Mom?
I love that we get to have this little love on mom experience, but I think this is for every one of us that has like these mothers that like they work so hard to raise us, to nurture us, to take care of us, and they do the very best they can. And I think witnessing my mom be so excited, I see this like enthusiasm in her eyes, and I know that we jumped into the challenge because when she walked in the house one day, she just looked, 10 years younger, and she had this smile on her face, and she was like bouncing around, and Allison was like, Millie, like you look so good, like, and mom's like, yes, I've been doing the mung bean cleanse and it's amazing. She was so enthusiastic.
Mom, I just want to tell you that you are an amazing mom. I've seen you grow and change so much in the past 5 years and become a person that honestly I didn't know as a kid. Someone who is growing in loving and compassion and willingness to recognize how your actions may have influenced us as kids, even though I know without a doubt you are doing the best and you continue to do the best you can. I believe that I can become a better person because I see you doing that every day. And I just want to thank you for that.
I invite you to read this book again and again and give it as a gift to whom you love the most. It can change your life forever. I love you. Namaskar.